Hello everybody, good afternoon and welcome to the United Stand. Manchester United 1, Wolverhampton Wanderers 0, and it's a huge win for Manchester United that puts us into top 4 as well. So much to get into in that. I mean, I've got to say from the outset that it may be noticeable for some, it might not be noticeable for others, but I thought that Casemiro was fantastic again today, but Rafael Varane at the back was a complete and utter rock, and he has to be a contender for man of the match. I know everyone's going to give it to Marcus Rashford, and I think Marcus Rashford was superb today, but I think a couple of things I want to say from the very outset. We're into 4th place now. We've played the same games as Spurs. They play tomorrow, but they'll have a game in hand again. We're 2 points ahead of Spurs, and we're a point behind Newcastle in 4th place. It was so important to beat Bournemouth on Tuesday, but also beat Wolves today and Forest. I don't think we will get top 4. I think when I look at the bench in the second half, I don't think we were very good in the second half. I thought in the first half we were better. We created more chances, but there's not enough depth. I mean, Martial didn't play well today. Do your player ratings? Mark every player out of 10, 6 being the average. We'll go through that in a few minutes. There was a few performances today that you need them to be better because the bench just can't replace them. And we'll go through that. But that's why that result was so good. And it was based again on hard work and some really good individual performances from people like De Gea, Luke Shaw, Varane, Casemiro, Rashford. But we don't have enough depth, and that's going to be a problem for us. But that's why that win was so important, because you still hang in there hoping that we will bring at least 1 or 2 players in. And anybody that doesn't think that João Felix would be perfect for Manchester United is a fool, because João Felix could have played where Martial was underperforming. He could have played where Bruno was underperforming. He could have gone out wide where Anthony was underperforming. He could have played, if you think they were underperforming, he could have played in numerous positions. And I think João Felix would be obviously the right sort of player for those sort of games as well, where you need a little bit of invention. But we'll start with the headline, because the headline is a goal from Marcus Rashford. And I was so disgusted that he didn't get the second goal, because I think that really was a better goal. His speed to get away from the centre-back, a brilliant shot, a super save by the goalkeeper, and then he follows it in. And then the rule that really does need adapting. Yes, it hits his arm, but this rule that if any part of your arm touches the ball before it goes in is stupid. It's so dictatorship, in the sense that he's had 2 goals taken off him this season, one at Goodison Park and one today, where we've had to play away from home with a 1-0 lead, potentially losing it. In both occasions we've won it, but in both occasions we should have been too clear and comfortable. That ball is a brilliant save by the keeper that hits Rashford at point blank range in his chest area where his hand happens to be. There's no impact on that ball going in. It should have been a goal. And I thought the speed of Rashford, match winner extraordinaire, superb. And it was fitting, because I think Rashford at the moment's in the form of his life, and so much of that's down to him, but so much of it is down to obviously the coach as well. And we had this big moment before the game where Rashford was in the team and then he was out the team, and Ten Hag says before the game he's out the team because of an internal disciplinary issue. But then he comes on at half time and he wins us the game. And who wins? Well, Rashford wins. Rashford doesn't go up to Ten Hag and go, "You should have started me," because he didn't get started because of a discipline issue that Ten Hag wasn't happy about. But it's dealt with swiftly, like it should be. There was an issue, you're not in the team. You come on at half time, the issue is over, you score the goal, don't do it again, and you'll be in the team every game. It's brilliant man management. It's brilliant for Marcus Rashford, because he shows what he's all about. And it's brilliant for us, the fans, because it shows that we finally got a manager now that is just not about favouritism. He's about, and he loves Rashford. He never shuts up about Rashford, but he still dropped him. Braden, welcome to the Members Club. Addy's just gifted 10. You're a legend, Addy. Good result. VAR inconsistency is criminal, says Sam. And I think today highlights the need to Felix when you only have Elanga and Garnacho to sub Anthony or Martial for, says Stephen. Yeah, well, look, hopefully Sancho's going to be back soon, but that doesn't necessarily make a huge amount of difference. So, for me, the Ten Hag dropping Rashford thing, we just fired it away. Rashford's won us the game. Ten Hag has shown that he's the boss and he'll do what he likes. And United end up with 3 points. I mean, I said this before the game. I said it at half time as well. I'd rather have that lesson and win the game than not have that lesson and win the game. And what I mean by that is, I'd rather see a first team player that's valuable to Ten Hag get dropped and humiliated and have to work their way back in, and for all the players to learn the lesson, because they will do, and we still win the game, than that lesson not get learned. no player in that team, whether you're Casemiro, David De Gea, Bruno Fernandes or Marcus Rashford, will be sat there tonight not thinking, if I fuck up, I'm out the team. The message that's been sent is huge. Our most informed attacker gets dropped for a tough away game because he did something to piss Ten Hag off. And every player in that team, it's not just Rashford that learnt the lesson, every player in that team knows now there is no slack with this manager. If you slack off, you're out the team. It just sends such a good message. And after years at United of players being able to go behind the manager's back to slag them off and, have the ear of the CEO or whatever, player power at that football club, leaking shit out all the time. Those days are now coming to an end. And I think it's brilliant. And look, of course, we do live in this world. I'm not a big fan of it, but it's the modern world. You've got to accept it. We do live in this world now where some football fans support players over the club. And there was outrage that Marcus Rashford had been dropped and Ten Hag was getting a load of shit. But I'm a United fan. Most of you are United fans. And I only care about Man United. And I see at the end of the game, Marcus Rashford walking off with his arm around Ten Hag. And I think the issue is over and the lesson is learnt. And that relationship is stronger because of it. I'm not going to take any shit. Don't do it again. Sorted. Manchester United win. So there is no Rashford proved Ten Hag wrong. There is no Ten Hag proved Rashford wrong. There is just a manager saying, I'm not having it. And it won't happen again. And that's it. I gave him Maguire a 5 for almost scoring a goal, says Clayton. I tell you what, I thought he was going to bury it, to be honest. And what I saw as the big decision was Maguire on the bench. Can't get in the team above a left back, and I love it, says Gel. Happy New Year from Korea Mark, says Taco. Happy New Year, pal. Hope you're having a good one. And Blix, welcome to the Members Club. Thank you very much for that. Rashi says Hamza. Can I just say this as well? We've spoken about Rashford. We'll go into the match. We'll do the player ratings in a minute. Make sure you catch up with me by doing yours now. Links in the video description. Mark every player out of 10, 6 being the average. Absolutely essential that we won that game today as well. Absolutely essential. At times, it was dull. Donny was good, says Mads. At times, the game was a bit dull. But Wolves are in a relegation battle. They're a very boring team. They're at home. They've got no intent to attack. They just want to counter. They get everybody behind the ball. It was a tough place to go. And I think that even last year under Solskjaer, we won it late. So very, very important that we got the game won. And defensively, I think we were very, very comfortable. And I do want to just say here that, because there maybe are still a few people thinking, why is Luke Shaw playing at left centre-back when you've got Lindelof and you've got Maguire on the bench? Well, for me, it's a very logical thing. Luke Shaw, Martinez and Varane are his number one centre-back pairing, aren't they? And with Varane, you get aerial ability, which we saw today, mobility, reading the game, good passer, good leader, flawless centre-back, really. And then with Martinez, you get aggressive, left-footed balance, agility, movement, passing, okay? So Martinez and Varane are his perfect centre-back pairing, and the team responds to that. You can play a higher line. You can send your full-backs forward. They can play on their own. What's the closest thing to Martinez? It's not Maguire. Maguire's not left-footed. He's not mobile. He doesn't like being left on his own, and neither does Lindelof. So what Ten Hag has done with Luke Shaw is he's actually the closest thing I've got to Martinez, because he's left-footed, he's mobile, he's pretty good in the air, and he can pass out from the back, and we can play a higher line. So what's happened is, with Martinez out, Ten Hag has gone, well, Luke Shaw's the closest thing to Martinez, and Martinez and Varane is the centre-back pairing I like the most. So I'm going to put Malacia at left-back, and I'm going to put Luke Shaw at left centre-back, because that's the closest thing I've got to Martinez. And that's why it works. It's genius. Martinez has been brilliant with Varane, and that's our best choice centre-back pairing. But Luke Shaw is the closest thing we've got to Martinez. So it's completely logical. You have a left-footed left centre-back who's mobile. That works brilliant. The question is, when Varane's out, who's the closest to Varane? And we don't really have anybody. But Luke Shaw works really well as a left-sided centre-back. Brilliant. Slept at 4 a.m. after a few G&Ts, up at 7:30 to watch United, says Mohammed. This team is making it worth it. Win or lose, they're putting in a shift. Watched the game at my in-laws in Spain. Them and my wife are Leeds fans, so I can now sit back and watch them, says Harry. So much hard work coming into this position after the horrible start of the season. Let's hope Ten Hag gets a striker in January, says Ashwin. And I hope you and the family are well, Mark. Love the no bullshit management from Ten Hag. Donny looked good, says Hugh. And welcome to Members Club 1013A. Also, we've had another super chat. I just want to talk about that before we do the player ratings as well. I just want to talk about is Maguire now 4th or 5th choice centre back? He must be on his way out, says David. Well, that's for them to talk about. You know, I do think that Harry Maguire will play games. He might even play against Bournemouth. We might rotate against Bournemouth. We need a striker, says Uhtred. And Luke Shaw at a top club like my Man United. People can do whatever they. Sorry, what was that? Luke Shaw says a top club like Manchester United, people can't do whatever they want. Maybe that's been part of the problem in the past, says Amanda. Yes, you know, rules are there and you've got to follow them. And Ten Hag is obsessive. He's a brilliant guy. We 100% have to bring the January transfer window into this, and we 100% have to go and get a striker in January, or somebody who can play as a striker in January. We do not have enough depth in the attack. Martial doesn't look sharp at the moment, and we know he's got injury problems. Anthony is still adapting. Jadon Sancho, well, let's wait and see. Marcus Rashford's the best player we've got in the attack at the moment. Can he do that every game? No, he can't. Garnacho's still a kid. Elanga's not ready. We're screaming out for it. And the thing is, Marcus Rashford's goal today was pure individualism. It's a 1-2 with Bruno, and it's power to get the shot off. And we can't keep relying on that. And if Marcus Rashford doesn't produce that moment today, we draw the game 0-0, and we're sat here going, we absolutely have to get somebody in January. We've got the 3 points. I felt we were good for the 3 points. I don't think we were lucky. I think we deserved the 3 points, but it was tight. And there will be games like that where it is tight, and we maybe don't get that moment from Rashford. So we've got to go and get somebody. Gakpo was there to get. He's going to be pulling a Liverpool shirt on Monday night. We've got to go and get João Felix. And the reason I really want João Felix, and I've said it a few times now, it's the fact that he's not an out 10 out of number 9 is exactly what we need. Because does Bruno play well every game? No. Does Rashford play well every game? Well, he does at the moment, but you know, probably not a great example. Does Anthony play well every game at the moment? No. Does Martial play well every game at the moment? No. I would rather have João Felix on loan till the summer and then go and get an Osman than get a striker in now who can only play up front. I think João Felix can play up front. He can play as a 10. He can play off the left. He can play off the right. And I think that sort of player is really important for us at the moment, because we don't have one hole in the attack. We have a few holes in the attack. You know, sometimes there's a problem at 10. Sometimes there's a problem on the left. Sometimes there's a problem on the right. So I think João Felix would be absolutely perfect for Manchester United. I hope Kim Min-jae comes in to back up Varane, says Dante. I think he'd be very good, yeah. It's going to be awkward when Gakpo plays against Man United, says Claydon. And hi Mark, only complaint about today's game is that we never quite dominate midfield and got 70% control. Happy 2023, says Yash. Look, we're going to go through the player ratings now. Mark every player out of 10, 6 being the average. And I think you raise a very good point about the midfield, in the sense that in that midfield at the moment, I have said this numerous times, so it's not like I'm plucking it out my arse. I've said it numerous times about the midfield, and I will keep saying it. My problem with the midfield is, I think at home, Eriksen, Bruno, Casemiro works really well, but away from home, it's not competitive enough. Like, Casemiro is going to get suspended soon because he's the only one putting the tackles in. I would love to get an Enzo Fernandez. I would love to get a Jude Bellingham. I would love to get a Casido. I would love to be able to go away from home and bench Eriksen or Bruno and play Casido and Casemiro. I think away from home, you need a bit more bite. And I've seen it a few times this season. Eriksen, for me, was always a more attacking midfielder. And his link between the midfield and the attack is brilliant. But he doesn't offer anything physically. It's just not who he is. He's not a tackler, he's not tenacious, and he's not particularly strong. And I think away from home, you are going to have to defend. And at times, we don't dominate the midfield like we should do. At Old Trafford, it's different because you expect to have the ball more. But when we play Man City in a couple of weeks at Old Trafford, are we going to play Eriksen, Bruno and Casemiro? And is that going to work? I think you need more in there. And I don't want it to be McTominay and Casemiro, and I don't really want it to be Fred and Casemiro. I'd always pick Eriksen. But I think the long-term vision has to be to bring a midfielder in who when we go away from home, Maybe we put Ericsson at the 10 and we rest Bruno. But I think Casemiro and another is needed. Hi, can you wish my fiance Lauren a happy new year? Says Eric. Happy new year to you and Lauren and Eric. Happy new year. This may be the birth of our number 9 going forward. I agree we need backup, but I think right back and another world-class centre midfielder is more important, says Charlie Max. And it's amazing what a manager with a clear plan of action can do for the confidence of the players, says Emmanuel. And look, can I just say this about Ten Hag before we go into the player ratings? I know for a fact there'll be certain journalists and media outlets who would have actually liked Manchester United to lose today and then be able to go, you got it wrong. You can do that at Ajax, but you don't do it at Old Trafford. You don't. I reckon there's probably a few draft articles that have had to go in the recycle bin around Ten Hag might be able to ball out his best player at Ajax, but this is Manchester United. You don't not pick your best player. And I just want to take a moment here to say that there will be people out there who were going to go for Ten Hag if we hadn't won that game and say, well, you know what, this is what happens when you don't pick your best player. But it was so important that we won that game. And it was so important that we are sat here going, Ten Hag got it right. We beat Wolves and Rashford learnt the lesson and we got the 3 points and he is the boss. It was so important to win that game to get in the top 4, but it was more important that Ten Hag won because there are people out there that want him. Who's this guy from Holland who's never managed in the Premier League coming in here and dropping his best player and thinking he's in charge? Well, he is in charge because he's the manager. And that's why it was so important to win. And he got it 100% right. The discipline in that team has just gone up a level today because of what Ten Hag has done. But he had to win the game as well. Because now everybody in that dressing room will be going, then there might be a couple of dissenters who privately go, don't like Ten Hag. But the reality is everyone in that dressing room knows they've got a manager who will take no shit and he's also right. And there's no margin for error. So we're in a position we've not been in before, with a manager that just demands respect, but also takes no shit. Right, let's do these player ratings. So for me, David De Gea was a 7 today. You could have him as your man of the match. I thought the save at the end was very good. I thought the save from Neves was very good. I'd expect him to make both saves, but, that's De Gea, isn't it? Big moment, goalkeeper. Probably didn't have a lot to do, but concentration is what it's all about. So I thought David De Gea was very good today, and I'm pleased that you gave him a higher score than me. I would have given him a 7. Remember, 6 is an average. Wan-Bissaka 6.5 for me, so we're all around there. I mean, I'm not running away with Wan-Bissaka. I think he's doing fantastically well, considering he's not been playing. But I also think that he's basically doing what I already knew. I never disliked Wan-Bissaka. I know he's a good defensive right back, and he has done a good job. But there's a big difference between Dalot and Wan-Bissaka, and you'll see that when Dalot comes back. Dalot's like a bloody midfielder. He's inverted, he's overlapping, he's all over the place. I think Wan-Bissaka is limited going forward. Very good defensively, but he's limited going forward. And I think we'll see a better Anthony when Dalot comes back. Interesting what happens with Wan-Bissaka, because he's definitely good enough to play for Manchester United, but he's not as good as Dalot. So is he going to sit on the bench for 5 months, or is he going to go on loan? I think it's a shame if he has to sit on the bench for 5 months, and he should go on loan. But who's the backup? And that's the question. Varane for me was an 8 today. I thought he was absolutely brilliant. In fact, he's going to be my man of the match. I always like to go for these people as men of the match, who played brilliantly for 90 minutes. Even in the first 5 minutes, he was winning the headers. Flawless performance, a leader of the team. And I'm not saying we wouldn't have won the game if Varane had had an average game, but I just thought he was brilliant across the whole 90 minutes. And sometimes you've got to shout that out. I thought he was superb, flawless, rock. 7 for Shaw as well. Again, look, he is the closest thing we've got to Martinez when Martinez doesn't play, and he is a left back who at left centre back. I think he could get a job as a left centre back at a very high level. He's a very, very good left back, but I think he could consistently play left-sided centre-back at a very high level. I'm not saying he'd play for Man City week in, week out, or Man United, or Arsenal, but I definitely think he could be playing at a very high level as a left-sided centre-back. Brilliant. Absolutely superb over the last 2 games. 6.5 for Malacia as well. Similar performance to Wan-Bissaka. good performance and good to see him playing games as well. Casemiro, again, 7 for me. I mean, the consistency means, not for a mere mortal centre defensive midfielder, you'd probably give him an 8. But for Casemiro is just so good. It's so refreshing to be in a position where we're winning games and winning midfields, and he's just so good. Just so good. I can't keep going over the old ground of saying, imagine if we'd got De Jong instead of Casemiro. Brilliant player. Eriksen was a 6 today for me. A few good passes, but the game passed him by, and it was right to sub him off for Fred. And whatever you think about Fred, it was right to do that. Bruno, probably a 6 for me. Look, he played the pass to Rashford. He wasn't. I think Bruno gets too much shit. Average performance from Bruno, I would say. He did misplace a few passes, but he's a massive part of that team. He did play the assist for Rashford. It wasn't his best game, but I wouldn't have subbed him. I know he did come off, but I wouldn't have subbed him. I just think it was a bit of an off game for Bruno, but I don't think it was a below average performance for him. Anthony, I'd probably give him a 5.5. I know a lot of people are giving him stick. I think he was better than what he was against Forest, and I think it's so important that we just keep picking him. There was improvement. There was, moments of, probably should have scored with the header in the first half. Not the one where he's offside. Martial should have scored that. But I think he was better than Tuesday, and progression is important. And I'm not worried about him. I think the price is ridiculous. That's not his fault. But I'm not worried about Anthony. And ultimately the team won. I thought Garnacho was probably a 6 for me. I don't think he had a bad first half. He's a young lad who gets thrown in because of Rashford's issue. And was probably a little bit unlucky to come off at half time, considering Martial and Anthony were probably worse than him. So I'll give Garnacho a 6. Remember, he's a young player and we're trying to nurture him. Martial would be a 5 for me. I really like Martial, but at some point we've got to say that there is a question mark about him. It was injury. He's now not injured, and he's not match sharp. So I think with regards to Martial, and he should have scored that goal up just before half time, where he heads it into thin air. So Rashford's doing an interview at the moment, so if anyone can just give me a blast of what he said. He is smiling, so I think he might have just been late for an interview, late for a meeting or something. But anyway, Martial, needs to do better. I don't think he's quite match sharp yet with Martial, so I would cut him some slack. But he just didn't. He looked like he had concrete in his feet. He looked a little bit off to me today. But we need him to stay fit. Marcus Rashford, 7.5. Yeah, I agree with that. Marcus Rashford, 7.5. He would have been my man of the match if they'd given him the goal that he should have got, the second goal. But match winner, that's important. If you want to give him man of the match for that, for me, it's Rashford or Varane. I went with Varane. But I just think Marcus Rashford's in the form of his life at the moment. He's winning his games. The improvement's been fantastic, and I hope he can continue it because, Martial's not firing at the moment, Anthony's not firing at the moment, Sancho's not available at the moment, Garnacho's a kid. We need to bring a striker in January, so Marcus Rashford at the moment is the outlet, and long may that continue, because it's certainly inspiring stuff, and it's great to see as well. Let's have a look at the who's next. Fred, probably a 6. Donny, probably a 6. Maguire, may as well give him a 6. Alanga, may as well give him a 6. And then Ten Hag, for me, I think you've got to give him an 8. I really do think you've got to give him an 8, because it's such a big call before the start of the game to drop your best player. But he's done it for the right reason, and then the team has won as well. He made the sub at half-time, didn't hold a grudge, dropped him, but brought him on at half-time, punishment done, get on there and win me the game, goes and wins the game. So for me, I think if you're not giving Ten Hag an 8, you're not understanding the enormity of what it is he actually did in that game, which is make a very, very big call and get it right as well. So very, 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 very happy with Marcus Rashford and Eric Ten Hag. Man of the match, look, I would have given it Varane. I'm fully expecting it to be Marcus Rashford, and it is. 42% of the votes are Rashford. No problem with that. Match winner. It's just the angle you come at it. Deserved to get a second goal as well. Fantastic performance from him, and I'm very, very pleased with that. Varane was superb. Ten Hag got it right. There we go. And you know, fair play for everyone who predicted it like me. Marcus Rashford has said the reason for his dropping was oversleeping for a meeting, and it's now settled. So we predicted it was that, didn't we? We predicted it was that. He overslept. It's a disciplinary matter, but it's not the end of the world, and it sends the right message out to every player. So I'm very happy with it. Very, very happy with that. He's got man of the match, and he can go and have a little bit of a sleep now. But he slept in. End of story. End of the story. I'm very excited, as you might have aware. Please smash a like on the video and subscribe, bottom right hand corner. I'm very excited because for the very first time, we've got our fan forum, and it's in the studio. Our fan forum is normally a split screen thing. It's in the studio. So get over there and say hello to Ricky and everyone, and they can talk about Rashford oversleeping. Brilliant. Thanks everyone for watching. I won't see you on the United stand before New Year. Happy New Year. United are into top 4. Big result. Really pleased about it. Excited. Let's hope 2023 is going to be a big year for United. New owners, hopefully, as well. Take care. Be safe. Whatever you're doing, get over onto the old fan forum and say overslept. They won't have a clue what we're on about. Sleepford. Speak to you in a bit. See. Let's go and have a look at this lovely studio.